Now, there's a part about being a field inspector that nobody talks about. Not because it's a secret and not because it's complicated, but because the topic doesn't show up in those training videos or in those onboarding emails that we all get, or even in any of those day-to-day or day in the life videos and clips like mine that I make that makes everything look so smooth and flexible. And once you run into this for that very first time, it'll catch you completely off guard. Okay? And that is because it's not about taking the pictures. It is not definitely about filling out all of these forms, and it's not about learning all of these guidelines. It's about how the work feels once you are actually fully responsible for it. Now, it starts with the moment that you're on your own. At first, everything feels exciting. You guys know that. When you first start, you're excited. Oh, I'm so excited. I got my new assignment. I got a contract with a company. I'm just happy, happy, happy. You're getting assignments. You're getting all of that. You're driving around to all of these properties. You're figuring out your own rhythm every day. But then one day, it just hits you that there's no one standing behind you. There's no supervisor riding along, a higher up, whoever it may be, whatever you may call it, they are not riding along with you. There's no co-workers that are checking your submissions. They're not checking to make sure that everything's okay, helping you out, saying stuff like double check that before you send it in. And at that moment, that is when you realize that the decisions, everything that comes along with it, stops with you. And that's the part that nobody prepares you for. So that's why we're talking about that today. We're going to talk about what to expect, what happens behind the scenes that can catch you off guard and make you feel like you don't know whether to keep going or to actually stop. Because for some people, when you're out on your own, that realization feels empowering. It makes them feel like, I can do this. It's about time I'm doing something on my own. But for other people, it's actually unsettling. Because you see, you're not just inspecting properties. Field inspection isn't just observing. You're constantly making your own judgment calls by yourself without anyone being there to help you out. Does this look occupied or recently vacated? Is somebody in this building? Is the wear and tear on this something new? Or has it been there? What's going on with this? I wonder, was it already submitted beforehand? Maybe I'm looking at it wrong. Maybe there's nothing wrong with the location. Maybe it just looks to me as though something may be wrong with the actual aesthetics of the building, but it's okay. Is it even safe to access? Or is this a liability? A lot of you are asking me those questions right there for sure. You want to know, is it safe to enter into any of these properties that are not occupied with people you're so worried about having to go into an empty location? Or, is it enough documentation? Do I need more? Should I have added more? Okay, so now get this. You will not get a green light or even a red light in the moment when you start doing inspections. When you are out there in the field doing inspections, there is no green or red light on repeat. Had to say that again. You make the calls. That's why. You are making all the calls. And only later, after you submit it, and after you've completed your entire inspection, do you find out if it was the right call to make in the first place. So let's be honest. Humans, we like immediate confirmation. We want to know from the jump. Just like if you start any other job. When you start working, as soon as someone shows you how to do something, you still want to have a little feedback, especially if you've never ever done that job before. So as soon as you finish doing your first project or whatever it may be, you'll probably ask a coworker, did I do that right? Or supervisor, could you come over here and have a look at this? All of that. That's out the window. There is none of that, okay? This job does not give you that. Silence is a part of this workflow for sure. Now here's something that a lot of new inspectors don't expect. A lot of time, nothing happens. You submit your inspections and then all you get is silence. You're not going to hear someone say, good job. You're not going to get an email or somebody send you a text message letting you know they received it. No response at all. You get nothing. And at first, people would think that that silence means that something's wrong. Maybe they did something wrong. Maybe they didn't finish stuff. So then they start checking their emails. I know, I've been there. They start refreshing the portals. They're all in the back office trying to see, did something else pop off? What's happening? Because nobody said nothing. You even replay your inspection over in your head trying to make sure, did I get this? Did I get that? That is something that you can come to expect as a brand new field inspector. This is something that you'll do when you're getting no feedback at all. But that silence just means that you did exactly what you're supposed to do. Or maybe you'll get some sort of feedback on down the line. And I can't contest to that because that happens. You could turn in an inspection and you will have finished it, probably even been paid for it. And then next thing you know, maybe a couple of weeks on down the line, they'll pop up and ask you a question about it. So you'll never know when you're going to get feedback. If you get feedback, all you can do is just stay on your toes and just be ready for whatever it happens. There are some times where people will actually, well, whether it's the regional or someone else who's working with the regional, sometimes they may send out an email, something like that, that'll like tell you, how good of a job you're doing and how they're glad that you're on the team, all that stuff, if you're lucky to even get that, because most people just don't. Because this job rewards you by actually not calling you back. And if you're someone who needs some sort of reassurance all the time in order to feel confident about doing your work, that can definitely wear on you. Because you're alone completely, even when you're not lonely. This job is a one-man deal. When you sign up, that's what you can expect. So now let's talk about being alone all the time. When you're driving solo. You're working solo. You're submitting your work solo. You're doing everything yourself. And that independence, of course that sounds great until you realize that there's no one there to process the day with you. Like you don't have nobody there. It's just you. No one to talk to. No one all during the day to say, yeah, that place was weird. Did you see that man on that sidewalk? Oh, look. Is this location sketchy to me or is it sketchy to you too? See, you have to call all the shots because it's only you. You have to absorb whatever you have going on and whatever you've seen during the day and just move on. And some days that's fine. Yeah, but other days that adds up for sure. Some days you're like, ugh, all right? So don't ever think that it won't get to you because in fact it will. Okay, so now listen. This job requires emotional self-containment. You need a coworker. You need to rethink this carefully. This work follows you home sometimes. Even after you've parked the car, you've gotten out, you've gone in, your evening has started, you've closed your laptop, your mind might still be running. Did I miss something? Was that photo clear enough? Ugh, I done submitted it. I hope it was. I should have checked it before I left the location. Should I have taken more angles of that? I don't know. We're going to wait and see. See, it's always something going on in your head. And this is an anxiety, okay? So let's not get that confused. You're not feeling anxious. It's not anxiety at all. It's responsibility echoing in your head. That's all. And until you learn how to mentally clock out, that work can feel heavier than it actually is. That mental carryover is one of the biggest reasons people burn out when it comes to being a field inspector. You see, you first need to learn to trust yourself before you feel ready. And what I mean by that is you'll never be ready when you first start. When you become a field inspector, they're going to give you workload, period, once you sign a contract. And when they do, they don't care if you're ready. So you need to know that you can trust yourself, trust your judgments while you're out here in the field. There's no moment where you suddenly feel ready. At some point, you're just going to have to just get moving. Accept the workload and just start moving. Rely on your judgment because it is just you. Rely on your experience if you have any, if you're not completely new to the game. Rely on your systems, those systems that you've created. If you have not created a system, please make sure that you create you a system that you can follow thoroughly every single day when you're out here in the field. And you'll learn in time, hands-on, while you're actually out here doing the work. Just trust yourself. That's all you need to do. Some people wait for confidence before acting. I don't know why they do that. A lot of people have to feel like they have some sort of confidence in order to make a move. Confidence isn't going to get you paid. This job requires acting until confidence catches up with you. And that gap between I have to wait on my confidence and actually believing that you can do it in the first place is where people actually get stuck. What you need to do, first off, is to treat yourself like a professional before you actually feel like one. And what I mean by that is there are a lot of times where people second guess every move that they make, no matter what it is. Even if they feel like deep down they have accumulated enough information, they have researched enough, they have studied enough, so they know that they feel like they can get out here and do it, but they want to second guess their own selves because they're worried that the company is going to second guess them. So you need to learn how to treat yourself as a professional before you even feel like one. Because these inspection companies, they assume competence. That means that when you sign up, they assume automatically that you know what you're doing. They're not going to ease you in, and they're not going to ask you how you're feeling today. And they surely don't check to see if you are overwhelmed. Either they see on-time work coming from you, accurate reports, those submissions that you put in every day, consistent quality of work from you, or they don't. And that expectation of being professional from the start can feel kind of cold to new people who are coming in on this. But it's not personal at all. It's structural. It's just the way it is. And adjusting to that takes maturity. This grown folk work. Y'all heard me say it a couple times. This is grown folk work. You're going to have to be able to adjust to what comes your way. This work can also change how you actually see flexibility. Because people talk about flexibility like it's freedom. But that's not it at all. It also means irregular days, working on unexpected days. How many of you are already having to do that now? Not planned days. Days you said you was going to be off and you're actually having to work. I do that all the time. Most of you who've been watching me, you already know that I'm normally off on Thursdays and Fridays. Sometimes I have to work on Thursdays and Fridays. This is very unexpected, but when it happens, I just make it happen because it is what it is. Those last minute changes with the file or with the actual appointment, long drives that you wish you didn't have to do from the jump, those quiet weeks that are followed by heavy ones, which happens often. A lot of you are not prepared for that, don't want to be prepared for that, and wish it didn't happen, but it does. There will be some weeks that are very, very light, and it'll be followed by a bunch of them that are super, super heavy with workload. And it seems like you can't catch up. And as soon as you can catch a breath a little bit, you may have a week that's very, very slow. And then it jumps right back into heavy mode. It is what it is. You'll learn quickly, okay, that flexibility isn't all about comfort. Because that's not what it is. It's more about being able to adapt. Are you able to actually adapt? And not everyone enjoys doing that long term. Everybody don't want to have to adapt to the workload, adapt to how the work comes, adapt to this, adapt. Everybody don't want to do that. And nobody prepares you for that inner conversation because that is the hardest part of this job. It isn't physical. It's that ongoing conversation in your head of, am I doing it right? Because once again, you're getting no feedback. Am I cut out for this? Did I just lose my contract? Is this sustainable for me? Can I actually keep this up? A lot of those questions come up all the time. And I know because I mentor a lot of you. And I know what you're feeling. And I'm only just here to help. You have to first off be able to answer all of those questions for yourself. There's no performance review meeting, none of that like they do on a 9 to 5. There's no career ladder laid out exactly for you to choose what you're going to do next. It's just you being consistent with everything you do and all of your results. So if you've already started, but you're running into roadblocks and you're concerned about should I keep going, first I just want to say stop thinking that something's wrong with you and start realizing that it's just part of the work. And that shift alone in your mindset will actually keep you in this industry. Because like I said before, field inspection is not a physical job. So it doesn't test your strength. It tests your steadiness, your ability to show up without applause, to be able to decide without certainty. Just do it anyway. To work without needing assurance from higher ups. And if you can handle that part that nobody prepares you for, the rest, it becomes manageable. You guys know what to do. Like, subscribe, turn on the notification bell. I'll be bringing you back something later. Thank you guys so much for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day.